Hey everyone, and welcome to r/AmITheA Butthole, the sub where we get to shamelessly judge whoever we want, however we want. Actually, wait, not whoever we want. We get to judge people who want to be judged, which means hopefully they won't get angry at us for calling them buttholes. Alright, now with that little crazy rant out of the way, I've got no idea how to intro my AmITheA Butthole videos anymore. We're not going to waste another second and get straight into this first one by user/serpentine8989. My girlfriend and I, 25 male and 26 female, have been dating for around 2 years and have been living together for about 6 months now. While the world has been going crazy due to the whole quarantine thing, we've been doing pretty well. And so we decided to talk about getting a dog. It's something we've discussed before. I've only ever lived with cats and have always wanted a dog because I like the idea of having a dog to run and play with and be active with me. While my girlfriend only ever had interactions with dogs through her grandmother, who kept a pair of small dogs to keep her company. Now, here's the problem. I've always wanted a more active breed. In fact, I would love a breed like a husky. I know they can be a lot of work, but I want a dog I can exercise with. But my girlfriend wants a lapdog like her grandmother had. In fact, she's been talking about getting a Pomeranian. She says she's been in love with them ever since she saw Fran Drescher having one on the nanny. I really don't want a small dog breed though. I have really zero interest in them. And my girlfriend says she doesn't want a dog that will jump on her and be rowdy if we can't give it all the attention it needs. The issue is, neither of us really want to compromise. She wants a small dog, I want an active dog, and we've actually started to fight about it. Like, just raising our voices, but still, it's probably been more heated than anything we've ever thought about before. She raises some good points. We live in an apartment right now, although there are plenty of parks and dog areas I could take a husky or other athletic breed to, so he wouldn't be cooped up. And I point out, dogs are a 10+ year commitment, and we aren't planning on living in an apartment forever. She tries to argue that we could get her breed first to ease us into owning a dog, and then discuss getting a breed for me in a couple of years. But that just feels like she gets what she wants, with a maybe I'll get what I want. Plus, again, I honestly worry if we have a little dog, then an active husky puppy down the road could be too rough trying to play with the smaller one. We already have a small dog, a big dog would bully her. I told her at one point, if she got a lapdog, then I wouldn't consider it my dog, and wouldn't want to be responsible for it. And she got angry, saying I was being mature about it since it was supposed to be our dog. I told her that if neither of us can compromise, then maybe we aren't mature enough in our relationship for a dog then. And she got more angry. Now she's giving me the cold shoulder and talking about going to stay with her parents for a while. But with the quarantine, we might be stuck together, and things have just gotten tense. I just feel like if we can't agree on a breed, then if we do get a dog, one of us will be resentful. Am I the butthole for refusing to compromise on getting a small dog, even though I don't want one? Am I the butthole for saying we aren't mature enough to share a dog since we can't agree? Look, OP, I want to say no buttholes here really, because yeah, really, that's what I want to say. You guys aren't mature enough to get a dog. You can't agree on a breed, who's going to look after it, how it's going to happen. I mean, if you really want a dog, if the two of you really want a dog, I feel like there should be a compromise available. There are plenty of smaller dogs that are very active. For example, breeds that were maybe used to hunt rabbits or rodents, or possibly the smaller breeds of sheepdog. I honestly can't remember the breed names. I might try flash some pictures up on the screen. These dogs would still have plenty of energy for you to exercise with them, but at the same time, maybe wouldn't be so destructive. And wait for it, the next post is also about owning a dog. Get excited, guys. Come on, who doesn't like a dog? So let's get straight into this next one by user/snoo10465. I had a dog when my wife and I got married. I loved her. She was my buddy. When my wife got pregnant, she became increasingly paranoid that the dog would be a danger to the baby. She brought up rehoming, and I refused. She was an aggressive breed, but she was trained. One day, she called me crying at work that the dog ran away and she couldn't run after her. I believed her. I looked for that dog for weeks. I finally just accepted it because we had to go to the hospital to welcome our child. and there were just other pressing concerns. It's been 5 years since then, and now we have 3 children. I wanted to get a new dog, but the kids take a lot of energy and time. My wife has always had a new excuse not to get another dog. I found out recently that my dog didn't run away. My wife and her father took the dog to the pound while I was at work, because her parents agreed with her about the dog being dangerous. I'm furious. She was my dog, my baby. She wasn't dangerous. I would never have agreed to that. She probably never got adopted. I'm honestly mad enough to consider a separation, if not for the kids and practical reasons. I've told her that the only way to make up for it, even a little bit, is for us to get a dog. She ultimately doesn't want a dog at all, and complained that she would have to do too much with it. I'm not planning to let up on this one this time. Yeah, geez, this is a tough one for me to judge, just because I feel like I need more info, more context. Because I mean, some of the comments are just straight up saying, dude, get a divorce, get a dog. You don't need a wife or kids, just go out, live on your own. But at the same time, if this is a one-off thing, I know it's a big breach of trust, and your wife is definitely a butthole for doing that. If this is a one-off thing, I don't see the need to be that extreme. On the other hand, OP, although I understand your anger, it is a big commitment to get a dog. But while it's something that you're used to and something you would have been used to and something that you would have done for years looking after a dog, your wife might be scared that a lot of the responsibility will fall to her, because looking after a dog is a lot of work. And I feel if you guys could discuss it a little better, be able to think of some guidelines, work this out actually, instead of just arguing, you might be able to reach a sort of compromise. On the other hand, OP, I think the ultimatum you've proposed is quite childish. This is something that happened 5 years ago, and while unacceptable, you really don't want to be getting a dog that your wife resents and doesn't want. I mean, unless you're planning a divorce as well, which then by all means feel free to get a dog after that. If you two are planning to stay together, you need to make sure both of you agree on things before making a change to your life. To honestly give a good opinion of what's happening, I need more info on the backstory and what's going on, and I think I'm gonna leave this post at that. I've already talked for way too long. And here's the next post by user/throwawaymusical72. My 37 female daughter, who we'll call Molly, 14 female, asked if we could talk earlier. She said that she still feels left out about missing last year's school play. So she wants my permission to participate in the play for next year, now that the year is less than a month away. I told her about last year where I'd pulled her out of a play, because even though she got the part she wanted, she had to watch her brother, 9 male, and sister, 10 female, after scheduling issues. With the set times 3:15 to 6, I got off at 5:30, she couldn't look after her younger siblings. She told me they're both turning 10 and 11, and they're well past the age where they can start looking after themselves. Molly also pointed out that she started looking after herself since she was 8 whenever I went to work, which is true. I told her no. I said that she needs to stay home to look after them. Molly then started to argue. She asked why she has to look after them. Here's the conversation that followed. Why is it because I'm the oldest, I'm the one left with those two? Mum, they're 9 and 10, almost 10 and 11. I shouldn't have to be looking after them anymore. They should be able to make a sandwich or something, then behave around the house. I don't want to miss another school play because of that. They've already shown not to be responsible. So teach them. Make a checklist. Check in with them every half an hour or something. They're old enough, Mum. I'm tired of being a babysitter. They sit around and watch TV anyway, so what's the point of being home early? I eventually just got angry with her and sent her to her room. Molly reluctantly obeyed. When my husband, 36 male, came home from work, I allowed her to come out. But she won't. She locked herself in and doesn't want to talk to anyone. My husband noticed that she wasn't greeting him at the door right away. When he asked, I told him what happened, and he took her side. My husband says it isn't Molly's fault that the little ones can't keep track of their damn heads if they weren't attached, and that we should teach them how to look after themselves and to set ground rules. I disagreed. My husband went to talk to Molly, and now she allowed him in. Am I the butthole? Ooh yeah, OP, you sure are the butthole. I like this little bit. I'm not sure if people got it. I missed it first time round. Is it Opie got angry and sent Molly to her room? This to me is a sure sign that Molly won that argument, but her mum was not willing to accept it. Also, thank God the dad in this story seems like a decent person. I mean, let's just start with the fact that you shouldn't be using siblings to babysit other siblings. That just makes them hate each other. And, I mean, you're stopping your daughter having a social life. And I mean, what makes it worse is these kids are going to be 10 and 11. That is old enough to sit at home for a couple of hours on your own. It's funny because I might get a very mixed bag of comments on what I just said, with some people claiming that there is absolutely no way you can leave a 10 and 11-year-old at home, while others are saying that, come on, they are definitely old enough to take care of themselves. And here's the next post by user/CajSim. Okay, just to make sure we're clear, my wife and I get along great. It's a great marriage. This happened about a month ago, and it wasn't even a big deal. But it's one of those we both think we're right situations. This in no way affects our marriage right now. I just want to know who was right. Here's the scenario. I work from home, so every morning I wake up around 6:45 and start work around 7:15. My wife will sleep in, usually till around 8, and then she'll wake up and make breakfast for the both of us. She does this every day, and she always cooks a great breakfast. And I'm super appreciative. So one morning, my wife comes into my office and says, I just really don't feel like cooking breakfast this morning. Would you be okay to eat cereal? I said something along the lines of course, baby, that's totally fine. My wife brings me a bowl of cereal, and I happily start to eat. Maybe 3 minutes later, I get the chance to take a short break from work and think to myself, oh, I'll go eat breakfast with my wife. When I go to the kitchen, my wife is eating a freshly cooked quesadilla. Now, did I truly care? Not really. But years of listening to my mum guilt trip my dad must have kicked in. I said, it's not that you didn't feel like cooking, you just didn't feel like cooking for me. Now, my wife felt bad and like she'd been coarse. And she got up and made me a quesadilla, even though I said I was happy to eat the cereal. Her point of view on this, making a quesadilla isn't really cooking. For her, that was the same as cereal. My point of view on this, it's cooking. And the fact that she felt bad kinda shows that I was a little bit right. Again, it doesn't matter, and I love my wife very much. She makes a wonderful breakfast for me every day, and I have no reason to complain. We're both super over it, but what are your thoughts? Alright, now what I'm gonna start doing is with my judgment, I'm gonna say I'm not gonna dwell on the relationship, on if it's right that OP's wife cooks him breakfast every day, or any of that stuff. OP says they have a happy marriage, whatever, I'm just gonna blindly believe it. If that's not the case, then my judgment will be completely different. Because at the moment, I just see it as a sort of no buttholes here situation. Because to me, it doesn't seem like a big enough issue. Just something a little bit funny and pretty harmless that you can hopefully laugh about within a month's time instead of posting it on AmITheA Butthole. And here's our next post by user/NoWayXKnowHow. I, 44 male, have been married to my wife, 39 female, for 20 years. We married young and had kids young, 19 female, 15 male, and 15 male. My wife and I have built a beautiful life together, and both have very well-paying jobs. At this point, I'm as high in my company as I'll ever get, and my wife has worked a high management position in a known multinational. I earn more than her, but by very little. We live the typical suburban cookie-cutter family life. We're paying for our children's private education, our cars, our big home, and additional vacation home. Yesterday, we were having dinner and joking about vacation spots, when she said she'll get enough of that next year when she retires. At first, I thought she was joking, and said, oh sure, then I'll retire as well, and we'll live on a houseboat like we've always wanted. She got annoyed and said, well, one of us will have to keep working. Clearly, she was serious. She told me in no uncertain terms that she felt she'd contributed enough. I don't know what she meant, and that she needed time off. I said that if she was burnt out, I would do anything to help and that she could take a sabbatical or reduce her hours. At first, she seemed okay with that idea, and I was sort of relieved that we had come to a compromise. Then she suddenly said that really the decision wasn't up to me. I told her that as her husband, and given that we have a shared life, it's up to me as well as her since it impacts me directly. I asked her how she expected us to pay the mortgage with just my salary. She got angry when I did some math in my head, just to show her the overall absurdity. Then she accused me of not supporting her. I just asked her to explain where this was coming from, since she always wanted to work. She said she just wanted to experience life more, that she felt trapped at her job, and that there were ways to make it happen, like taking out loans for our kids' colleges. I have to admit that I was losing this a little at this point. I don't know where this is coming from, but we can't afford for you not to work. There are no more promotions for me to be had. She answered along the lines of, you could just get a different job. My wife knows how much I love my job. I've worked at this company for 17 years. I love my partners and my co-workers, and I work with my brother-in-law, her brother, who was my best friend. I told her, so you want me to be miserable at a new job for the rest of my life, just so you don't have to lift a finger anymore? She just answered, I'm going to resent you if you make me work after a time when I want to retire. I mean, cool. So she thinks I'm not going to resent her? I was exasperated and suggested we just sell everything then, if retiring is something she really wants. But she just went to bed, and we haven't really talked since. I feel like I'm missing something here. Am I the butthole? And OP does actually provide a fairly extensive update. My wife went to visit her mother today, and while she was driving back, my mother-in-law called me to say that there was something my wife needed to talk to me about, and to maybe also get our children involved. Mother-in-law sounded heartbroken on the phone, and was crying, so obviously, I got really worried. Got my children to come home, the boys and daughter later joined via FaceTime. My wife got home, and she looked so awful. Like, she cried all day long, and she let me hug her, so I saw that as a good sign. We all sat down, and here's basically what's going on. My sister-in-law, my wife's twin sister, who lives in another country, has breast cancer. She found out last week, only told my wife, swore her to secrecy so sister-in-law could tell their mother in peace, and pretty much left my wife stewing her misery over it. My wife is heartbroken. Apparently, the diagnosis is not good. She was the only one who knew, and didn't want to break her promise, so she didn't tell anyone. We're all very shocked and still processing. Mother-in-law also only found out yesterday, so really nobody's handling the news too well right now. My wife says she realised in the past week that she can't continue her life like this. That she felt so guilty after her sister told her because they never see each other, and she feels like all she's done her whole life is just make money and put off her life for later, and that she got stuck about being stuck doing the same thing for the next 20 years. She said she didn't want it to come off the way it did when she told me, but that she wasn't in her right mind. She also said that she really can't continue like this. She feels like she's too far apart from her family, too stuck in her own little work-related world, and that all she does is contribute money and is too detached emotionally. I told her I don't feel like that's true at all, and my children agreed. But obviously, if she feels that way, then it's a concern. I'm honestly not sure what we're going to do yet, but my wife is just so distraught about the whole thing, she kept crying. Our children being part of the conversation helped her. I think because she saw that we're all here to support and help her. There are still many more conversations to be had. Obviously, she's going to need help, that much is clear, and we're planning on driving to see sister-in-law as soon as humanly possible. My daughter wants to come too. I think seeing her mother the way she was today shook us all a lot. My brother-in-law is coming over in an hour to talk, so hopefully we can come up with some sort of game plan then. Yeah, and I hadn't read this update before doing the post. I may have given a judgment before reading the update then, would have made for some more interesting stuff. But otherwise, it seems like OP, you've handled the situation really well. Not just you, I mean your whole family. And with the way you're approaching it, I think you'll be able to sort it all out. So, not the butthole, keep doing what you're doing. And make sure to keep your health and the help of everyone around you your number one concern. And guys, I think this post will be the last one for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel for Reddit videos 3 times every single week. But with that said, that is it from me. I hope you all enjoyed, and all I want to do is see you all here next time. See you later, guys.